Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into the idea of fulfillment, but maybe not in the way you're used to thinking about it. See, this isn't just about ticking boxes or doing your duty. It's about a much deeper, more active practice. It's about harmonizing who you are on the inside with what you're actually doing on the outside. So let's get into it.
Really think about that for a second. You agree to help out, you make a sacrifice to keep the peace, you fulfill all your obligations, but deep down, there's this little part of you that's protesting. A quiet feeling of, this isn't really fair, right? That inner conflict. Well, that's exactly where our journey begins today.
So we're going to map out the path from that hidden inner resistance all the way to a state of genuine peace. And this isn't just some abstract theory. Think of it as a practical guide to completely transform how you experience your day-to-day life.
Okay, so here's the core idea we're working with. Fulfillment isn't just one thing. It actually operates on two totally different levels. There's the one that everyone else can see, and then there's the one that only you can feel.
Just look at the difference here. On one hand, you have the first layer. That's what most people think of as fulfillment. It's all about visible performance, right? Doing your duty, keeping things smooth, avoiding conflict. But the second layer, that's a whole other ballgame. It's a completely internal practice. It's about dismantling the ego and actually aligning your inner state with your outer actions until there's no separation at all.
And this brings us to that first layer of fulfillment, which, honestly, is a place where a lot of us live without even realizing it. On the surface, everything looks fine. You're doing all the right things. But underneath it all, the ego is quietly running the show.
And here's what that inner split looks like in real life. Outwardly, you're the perfect picture of harmony. Smiling, agreeing, playing your role beautifully. But your inner truth is a totally different story. It's filled with judgment, quiet dissatisfaction, maybe a little regret. You appear harmonious, but you feel drained and completely unseen. That, right there, is the ego in disguise.
This is the ego's little theme song, isn't it? It's that voice in your head that's always keeping score, always feeling like it's getting the short end of the stick, and always wishing everyone else would just change. Just being able to hear this voice, well, that's the first giant step.
So, how can you start to spot this in your own life? Well, there's a wonderfully simple, kind of humble way to hold up a mirror to ourselves and see what's really going on.
It's a pretty direct question, I know, but the answer can be incredibly revealing. And remember, this isn't about judging yourself. It's just about getting honest. It's about self-awareness.
The answer can be found in something called the spouse test. And hey, don't worry about the name. This works just as well with a partner, a roommate, your kids, really anyone you live with. So here's the scene. Picture it. You are completely lost in something you love. You're at the climax of a movie, or maybe in the final seconds of a game, and right at that moment, your partner calls out and asks for a small, simple favor. Now, the test isn't what you do next. The real test is what happens inside you in that very first split second.
So what happens in that split second? Is your yes immediate, cheerful, and without a second thought? Or is there a tiny hesitation, a small sigh, a split-second calculation of annoyance? That little flicker of resentment, that's the ego, clinging to what it wants. A wholehearted yes, on the other hand, means you're free from that grip.
And I want to be super clear here. This has absolutely nothing to do with being obedient or a doormat. It's a test of ego transparency. It's a way to measure how quickly and how willingly you can set your own preferences aside for what the moment needs without any of that inner fight. And that's where the real practice can begin. Because that awareness, that moment of seeing your own resistance, that is the turning point. That's the moment you stop being controlled by the ego's voice and you start just observing it like an old, conditioned habit.
Because in that tiny gap, that moment of recognition, you realize something incredibly powerful. You have a choice. And not just the choice to say yes or no out loud. It's a much deeper choice. A choice about how you're going to relate to your own inner resistance.
And this choice becomes your inner practice. It means you start to see that voice as just a habit. You notice the gap between your calm, helpful action on the outside and your conflicted mind on the inside. The point isn't to fight the ego or to feel bad about it. It's just to gently, with awareness, release its grip. You learn to see through its patterns instead of getting tangled up in them.
And as you keep practicing this, something pretty incredible starts to shift. You begin to move into that second layer of fulfillment. The place where your actions and your inner awareness finally truly line up.
And the difference in how this feels? Oh, it's night and day. Fulfillment in that first phase is heavy. It's draining. It's a constant struggle to be right. But in the second phase, it's light. There's no inner protest, no leftover resentment. It actually brings you energy and joy because you're no longer fighting with yourself. You're just responding.
And that's really the ultimate shift, isn't it? Harmony stops being a performance you put on for other people. It just becomes your natural state of being. You're not performing anymore, you're just present.
So when you boil it all down, this whole journey is about moving from a fractured state of performance to an integrated state of presence. It's the natural result of practicing wholeness. Just think about what that means in your actual life. It means your power doesn't come from forcing your will or winning every argument anymore. It comes from a deep inner stillness that naturally brings resolution to the situations around you.
And this kind of presence, it has real, tangible qualities. You start to act without that nagging voice of regret. You respond to whatever life throws at you without that old, familiar resistance. And you can serve the people around you freely and joyfully, without needing to be seen or get credit for it.
And that, in the end, is the deepest teaching of all. This journey isn't really about changing the world out there. It's about finding peace within yourself. Because once you do that, you can't help but become a source of peace for everyone and everything around you.